You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting from the Bishop West Real Estate Mobile Tower right here in Northport, Florida. I've got a very, very special guest in the house and somebody we have to congratulate. I'm going to let Laura take the lead here real quick and introduce who she has with her, but also tell a little bit about her new job. Laura, how you doing?
Sure. I mean, what an opening, John. Well, hi, thank you for having me. My name is Laura Ansell. I'm the Marketing and Engagement Manager with the City of Northport, and I've been with Parks and Rec for a while, but I am fortunate this week to be joined by Kristen Anderson, who is going to be taking my position with Parks and Recreation as I've moved to the Communications Division. So
Fantastic. How do you like your new job?
You know what? It's good. I'm ready for some new challenges and to take some of the things we've been doing to the next level. So I'm excited for that, and I'm excited to have Kristen here to, keep the baton going for Parks and Rec.
Well, Kristen, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
How do you like your new position?
So far, so good. I'm on day 6, so going strong. And thank you for having me on. And I've got some big shoes to fill as Laura has advanced her career at this time. But I'm confident that we can work really well together and do a good job.
I'm going to go back and forth with you guys here for a second just to talk about your positions. But Laura, why don't you tell people about your new position and what it is all about and how that's going to maybe engage the community even more.
Yeah, no, I love that. So in the past, we've kind of had individuals embedded within different departments that were meant to be unicorns and do the communication that way, right? Where everybody does everything for that specific department or division. And so we kind of felt sometimes a little isolated. So we had a new communications manager come on, and with his leadership and the support of our city manager, we've gone to a centralized model where we are now bringing in all of those communication positions and streamlining it. So which has a lot of benefits, right? So the first is that we can do more with the people that we have and make sure that our communications are going out to all the people that it needs to. It's going to allow us to really highlight the specific skills that certain folks have, right? So if someone's really good at video, it's going to allow us to produce more professional videos. It's going to allow us to have a more unified voice. Right now, I'm sure if you've looked historically, you can pretty much tell which department is putting out which information. And so we want to look like one Northport. We want to clean it up and have a nice consistent branding and make sure that our residents are getting the information they need. So one of the perks of my new position is I'll get to take on that task of upgrading our marketing and our communications. We're overhauling our website currently. We're introducing some new email marketing initiatives that we haven't had before. And we're also looking at our engagement. So I'm going to be looking at developing a citizens academy here that will engage our residents and bring them in and teach them how government works and find ways to get them plugged in and connected and active with local government so that they have an opportunity to make their voices heard. So that's just a small taste of some of the things that I'm going to be doing, but I'm excited for that opportunity and look forward to hopefully impacting my hometown a little bit here. So,
well, and some of the things that you talked about just now, they're really needed in our town because drawing the residents into the government a little bit closer is one of the tasks that we have. I think a hard time doing just because we're Northport without a major TV station here kind of promoting us.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of think differently, kind of unique in how we capture the audience a little bit.
We do. And I think historically too, John, we've been a commuter town. So I think it's difficult sometimes, I don't know, when I was commuting and I'd have an hour and a half commute both ways on top of a long workday, it's hard to want to come in and then go, oh gosh, I can't wait to go to that evening meeting. You get home and you want to go to bed. So I think that offers some unique challenges. But now that we're growing and we're trying to attract more businesses, and we have a lot of folks who are working remotely now, which is a benefit in this day and age, I think it's time to find ways that we can reactivate that engagement within our community and get people passionate. We have a lot of great individuals with a lot of great ideas, and we're growing very, very quickly. And so we need people to be engaged in with our government. So
Is this a new position that they created?
it is. That's correct.
And where do we draw data in for this position? Do you know how they developed that position?
Oh, I mean, that's a great question. I was on the tail end of the, hey, Laura. So, part of that is historically from the surveys, part of it is from workload and tracking the existing workload. So this was a reclassification. So the position itself is new and the job description is new, but we took an existing position and
Good.
reclassified it as a new FT, as an FTE. So we didn't add a position to the workload. So I want to be clear about that. We simply took an existing one and reclassified it to fit a need and a gap that we saw that was necessary.
Like everything else out there, it's nice to get clarification.
It is.
Where it hits the web,
Yeah, so don't worry. We reduced, reused, and recycled, and that's how I will be going.
Well, it's kind of creative, though. I think we're getting good at kind of reallocating some positions as far as even throughout our city is concerned. Utilizing them in I think a more specialized way, which is going to take a lot of the burden off of a lot of people, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I think it's going to make us more productive. We're going to find some efficiencies in our process and the way in which we do things. So that's what I think I'm most excited about, is putting in some procedures that will help eliminate any questions on to who owns what, or it's going to be very clear on what the procedure and process is. And that's going to help us be more efficient. And at the end of the day, that's going to benefit our residents because it's going to make sure that our communications are clearer and more proactive.
See, and I'll get Kristen on this, I know, real quick, but how do you think it's going to be working hand in glove with Laura up the ladder, kind of, so to speak?
Let's see, day 6. Yes. Look at you, John.
I'm definitely going to lean on her as a resource. She has been, she lives in the community. She's been a part of the community for a while. And then specifically, she just had my job for 4 years. So I look forward to using her knowledge and what has been working and build on that.
And what's your background?
My background is actually, a lot of it is in healthcare admin.
Oh, very good.
So a little change there, a little career change. Just got my master's degree, so I'm going to use those new skills upon my existing skills to support the city.
And I've got 27 years medical, and I always say I brought the best.
I was just waiting.
So, you can bring the healthcare admin side to the city.
Absolutely.
It's always nice to have a diverse background. So you can, I think you're going to appreciate more of what you see as you develop into the position. I really feel like Laura has teed this up nicely for you.
I agree.
You're very kind, John. I've been very lucky. I've been fortunate to have joined the city at the time that I did, and I was able to, put some frameworks, but I'm excited to see the fresh perspective and the take that that outside experience will have of like, how can we have a foundation now, how can we tweak that? And I'm looking forward to seeing Kristen make it her own and having an impact there, because, we have a lot of really wonderful things happening, and out of all the departments, and I love them all, but Parks really has some fun, quality of life, community engagement. When you think about those types of things and where you want to live, that's really Parks and Recreation. And so that part of it is really fun. Yeah.
So you've got some big shoes to fill. Yes. And while you've got the anchor sitting right there next to you, I'll go ahead and ask you, are there some good things coming up at Parks and Rec as far as like the entertainment value, the schedule that's coming out?
There are, yes. I'm just going to refer to my sheet. I have not memorized everything just yet. But that's a great question. So we've got a concert in the park coming up this Friday evening. And then we have on Saturday, we have a couple events, Newcomer Day. And then we also have Splash into Summer May Day, and that is a day where folks can come with their families to the Northport Aquatic Center and have free admission and experience that park for free that day.
Yep. So I would add on to that. If you're going to join us, two things. One, don't forget to bring your proof of residency. So if you're a City of Northport resident, we need your driver's license or something. So it is a free day and it's a day only for our City of Northport residents. It's a way of saying thank you for your support and to give some folks an opportunity to check it out. If you've been a little, perhaps dubious about the quality or the wonderfulness that is the Northport Aquatic Center, I would challenge anyone who's not been there to take advantage of the free admission and go check it out. And I think a lot of people are going to be pleasantly surprised if you've not been there about how really just awesome it is.
Yeah.
And we'll have a lot of really great information about water safety and our youth scholarship program and swimming lessons and out on the deck available for people to take advantage of. So,
and we had Devon on last month, and
you did.
it was a really good show, and he gave a lot of good insight. And we talk about the aquatic center as like common conversation, but I think we need to amp up our game a little bit and really start talking about it as the anchor. It really is an anchor to our Parks and Rec system, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I'd say it's an anchor for water safety throughout our region. Some of the things that team is doing there is we were the first in the state on a lot of things in regards to our Float for Life program and being able to offer that here in Florida. The scholarships program that we have is quite robust. We are now certified as lifeguard instructor trainers, which means that we are self-sufficient. Our staff there are now trained to train other lifeguards and to train them how to teach swimming lessons. And so we have other agencies in this area looking to come to the center to do trainings of their own and take benefit off of that. So we like to, and we've talked about this a lot. I know Kristen just had her tour there last week. And one of the things we really talked about is that when you talk about the aquatic center, yes, it's fun and the slides are great and we love a lazy river, and who doesn't love a place to go and cool off when it's hot? But what it's really about is water safety for our community and increasing the awareness of that. And because it's not just being safe at the aquatic center, it's being safe. We have 80 miles of canals. We have pools in people's backyards. We have snowbirds and folks who are bringing their grandkids to the area that just need to stay aware of the things they can do to be safer when they're out on their boats, when they're in their pools, when they're, at their homes. So
unfortunately, we just had Sunday with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a 2-year-old who drowned. And I was reading the article, and she was one of 4 siblings. So there were 2 adults and 3 other siblings there. And she still, unfortunately, had the opportunity to drown.
Yeah.
If we don't have a conversation about it today, there's no better day, I don't think, to have a conversation about water safety. But what we do at the aquatic center with taking I don't want to say the fear factor out, but maybe the fear factor of water safety in. How about that?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's about respect, right? Of being respectful of the water and the power that it has, and understanding that as much as we love it, we also need to use the proper precautions when we're around it. And that's a lesson that doesn't have an age limit on it. I mean, I think it's something that even adults can still talk about. So,
and can you talk about what, just real quick, because I know we hit on this a lot, but I kind of feel like today maybe we got the attention of the community a little different. Can you talk about what we do with the school and how we work in conjunction with that transition?
Yeah, so we are fortunate enough to have partnered with the Monda family, and they support their kids swim program. And that is a partnership between the Parks and Recreation Department here, Sarasota County Schools, and the Monda family. And we provide every second grader with their parent permission, of course, parent guardian permission, swimming lessons at the Northport Aquatic Center. So we're just in the middle of wrapping that up here. But what we do is the school buses the second graders, and so we take them a different school every single week. And so they come Monday through Friday, and they get 5 45-minute lessons. And so they come day one, and they get their evaluations, and they go through that process, and then they benefit from a week of classes. And it is really absolutely amazing what 5 classes can do. And so that is our opportunity to say, hey, if your child benefited from only 5 classes, imagine what they could do with 10 more. And, we do have pretty affordable swimming classes. It's $30 for a session. That's like 6 different classes. We have the youth scholarship program. If that's still, we never want the fee to be a barrier to anyone getting this lesson. This is potentially life-saving information. So the Rotary Club in Northport Central has been kind enough to set up a youth scholarship fund for swim lessons. They can apply for that. Information is at northportfl.gov/youth scholarship. So if you go there, you'll find out some information. You can apply online. And if you go to northportfl.gov/pool, you'll find links not just about the Aquatic Center, but to our swimming lessons, to our other programs. We have some fun things coming up too. Hey.
All right. That was me.
I was getting ready to jam. It's like, I was just glad it wasn't me this time. It's usually me.
Well, and I can't believe it's my son because he knows I'm on the radio. How about
that? He does. Hello,
yeah.
John's son.
Well, that would be Michael. So he made news today. So we've done a lot there, and we've also hit some numbers, newer numbers that I know you guys are really proud of as far as the attendance goes, right?
We did. Yes, I'm pulling it up because I know what you're talking about, and I want to make sure I'm stating facts here for you.
Yeah, no doubt. And there is some beauty in that because the fact that we had 1 year down with COVID, and we were really controlled by COVID at that point in time.
Yeah, and that was our inaugural season too. I mean, that was
absolutely hard to open.
Now you're taking me back, John. It's been a hot minute since then.
But the momentum has picked up, and I think the momentum has picked up at our parks across the board.
Oh no, I'd agree. Yeah, 1,000%. We've been very, very lucky. We just put out our impact report, and anyone who's interested, please download it. It's at northportfl.gov/parks and recreation. And that is our summary of the impact that we've had on our community. How many folks in attendance have we had? Who's come to places like the Aquatic Center, to the park? Who's coming to our, community centers? So I'm quite thrilled to share that we had 94,017 visitors to the Northport Aquatic Center the last fiscal year. And that was with, I know it was only a few days, but we had a few days closed in there because of Hurricane Ian. So I like to think that we would have gotten pretty darn close to that 100,000 mark. So
and that's pretty impressive when you think about it.
It's a lot of people,
a
lot of folks in the water. That was a 26% increase from last year. So we're continuing to, have a nice increase there despite other challenges like Ian and the like. We keep seeing those numbers go up, and we try to do more with less. So we're really learning, how do we manage the budget? We've really trimmed down that, you remember the deficit when they were anticipating it to be $1 million, and it's not. We reduced that again this year by 34%. So, check out those numbers. It really is aligned with what we see with our other quality of life amenities like the Morgan Family Community Center that are there to serve a purpose, help, provide things like the swim lessons and the like and give our kids a place to go.
And I want to talk a little bit about the safety at the Aquatic Center.
Okay.
As far as safety goes, with that many people there, everyone has to assume that there's some sort of Are we pretty much in good standing as far as keeping our incidents under control because we are monitoring everything so closely?
That is a great question. The answer is yes. For a facility of the size and what we do we have incidents? Yes. Do we have the Band-Aids and the scraped knees and couple times you have to jump in because someone maybe thought they could do a cool trick off the diving board and they weren't quite ready for that deep of water. We have a few of those, but for the most part, I have to give great credit to our team there. They are very well trained. Every single lifeguard has to go through 6 tests, so they're tested before they're trained. So they have to pass a test to even be trained. Then they go through the training and then they receive they have to pass 6 other additional certification tests before they're put out on those chairs. So it's pretty robust training. And then they do a great job of rotating. So we have, certain state standards that we have to adhere to. And we also get audited, not just by the Department of Health, but also by the American Red Cross. And at our last audit, we passed or exceeded every safety standard that we have to. So they do a great job out there. That is a very well-trained group. They work closely, not just together, but also with fire rescue. They've done a lot of co-trainings there to make sure that if a situation does happen, they are ready to respond and rescue the person, and then make sure that that transition of care is done quickly and that they're ready to act when it matters the most.
Well, that's I want to call it a family all unto itself out there, because I've met a lot of the staff that's there, and it's a really tight knit group.
It is. It's a good group. They're well trained, and I can't say enough, especially because for many of our youth now in the community, this is their first job, right? So one of the things at the Aquatic Center that's unique to some of our other facilities is that we start hiring at 16 years of age. So that is for many who are at, we've got a lot of Bobcats over at the Aquatic Center. Go Bobcats. And so that's really, it's a great opportunity for them to, one, gain a certification that they could use their whole lives. And 2, it's their first introduction to the professional workplace. How do you act in a workplace? What's your first job? All those things that, teenagers get to learn. So that's a unique aspect of that Aquatic Center. And I'll say they do a great job out there working with those kids.
And so I want to slide into some of the Mullen Center, because a lot of people, I'm not sure, we push the Aquatic Center a lot, but
we do. It's fun to talk about water. You just like to dive in.
It is. I mean, we're in Florida. You should talk about water. But there's a super nice gym, super nice basketball, volleyball area over there. Some nice classrooms that you guys have. Can you talk a little bit about the Mullen Center and really what that anchors down over there in that same area as the Aquatic Center?
Sure. So directly across from the Aquatic Center, we actually have the Morgan Family Community Center. So that does have a nice.
Did I say Mullen?
You said Mullen, but that's okay. People do it all the time. It's the ends. It's because we're looking at Mullen or Morgan. It's very easy. So I get you.
Well, when I moved here, we only had the Mullen Center.
That's true. Yeah.
And so I'm so used to saying Mullen, I can't get away from that.
You're pre-Morgan. That's what you
are. Jeez. But go ahead and tell us a little bit about the Morgan Center.
So it's a really nice facility. Right now, unfortunately, our gym is closed at the moment. The floor took a beating with Hurricane Ian. So, but we're going through the procurement process right now for that. So that floor should be updated and fixed soon. But it's a very large basketball court system. We have an adult league for basketball that plays in there. The Northport Basketball League typically practices and has their games inside that gym. We have a fitness center that has nice equipment that is on a rotating basis, so it's continually updated. There's the dance room that's available, so if anyone wants to work on their footwork or join a jazzercise class, that's there. There's meeting spaces available, so we actually just had a conference there last week with the Florida Recreation and Park Association, where we hosted 30 folks from across this region who came and talked about best practices in the fields of parks and recreation. And we learned a little bit from each other. There's an art room, and all those spaces are rentable. So if you're looking to have an event, all these spaces or meetings or anything, these spaces are available to the public to rent. And it also plays host to our teen lounge. And we have a very robust teen program. So for many of the youth in our community, the Morgan Center is their home away from home before or after school, especially for kids who attend Heron Creek Middle School or the Northport High School. So if you join the Northport Drug-Free Youth, your child can get a free membership, and that's free access to the center. It's free training and other programs. So they have like free throw Fridays. They do, they have tournaments with the games. They bring in outside speakers from the local banks and the like to teach them how to budget. And so they're always doing something there, and they do a great job in engaging the kids and keeping them active. I can't say enough. The staff out there are super friendly. If you've not been, you can get a tour anytime. We're open Monday through Saturday. Stop by, say hi to the staff. If it's Jill or Barry or Cynthia, tell them we sent you, and they'll give you a tour and show you what the facility is all about.
So, Kristen, what do you think of all the facilities that we have within the city now that you're going to be kind of looking after as far as being part of it and pushing it out into the community?
So I have experienced the Aquatic Center and the Morgan Center so far. I have some tours and things set up for the rest of this week for my onboarding. So I was able to experience the after school team program when we got out of a meeting the other day at the Morgan Center, and I can say it was very popular. It was neat to see the kids engaging and, relaxing and exercising, just in a safe space. So that was really neat to experience that.
So a little different environment for you because, the healthcare industry, we're kind of anchored to the desk.
Yeah.
And here you're kind of a mix of both, I would say.
Yeah.
Out in the community.
No, I think that's a fair assessment. You never know what the day will hold or where you'll be. So
absolutely.
That's okay. We're never bored.
I've never seen Parks and Rec bored.
That's right. Yeah.
I've had the show last week, and we talked with a group from Warm Mineral Springs on both sides where it wanted to go P3 and wanted to keep it, quiet. I see both advantages both ways. I'm kind of torn on. I think if we approached our park over there with some, I think some reservation in mind, just slow the roll a little bit and find that right situation. But having our parks developed into something also helps us out too. And I'm not saying all parks. Well, we have done a great job with pulling in the awareness into the aquatic center, which, when here again, I have to go back to history. When I moved here, we had the old YMCA, Northport Swim pool that it had seen its better days, so to speak.
I'll say about that pool what I say about the Warm Mineral Springs buildings all the time. It needs a lot of love.
A lot of love.
Yep, it needs a lot of love. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because this is a great opportunity to invite anyone who wishes to provide their feedback. We have a survey running right now to solicit input from the community in regards to the Warm Mineral Springs and the potential P3 and what people would like to see there. Historically we've done that, but the original surveys we did, we had under a couple hundred responses to that original development of the master plan. If I remember correctly, I want to say it was like 113, but don't quote me on that. So I think it's very important, as we've talked about a little earlier, that, we are a very large community. We're 104 square miles. There's a lot of people who live here now, thousands who didn't years ago. And we really need to hear from all of our residents in all corners of our community what their feedback is and what their suggestions are, because there's a lot of options that we need to consider, and their feedback matters and, could have potential ramifications. So anyone who's not taken the survey or who's interested in it, we do have an FAQ out on the website about what this independent survey is and who's conducting it and why we're doing it this way. And we also have the link to the survey itself. So I would encourage folks, read the FAQs, if you get the chance to look at the historical documentation as well, take a look at that and see what we've been trying to do over the years. You know, we've been talking about this for a long time, John.
We
So
have, we
we
have, you
have,
know,
yeah.
I even said on the show the other day that uh, the people who had the Warm Willow Springs prior to us
Hmm.
didn't do a great job keeping up. And so we've had that issue. But I want to kind of point something out, and I want to see if you agree with this, because when the swimming pool first opened up,
Mm.
we really made it a conscious effort to get more people aware, and I think having the second graders uh, funnel in through the programs and the swim programs all going at the same time, along with it being located next to the Morgan Center, which is a very, very active site.
Yeah.
I think that's drawn awareness to that particular need. I think where I think we're hurting with the Warm Willow Spring side of it is that we have a really small sliver of Northport residents that go there, and there's no driving connection like we have with Morgan and the Aquatic Center. Those
Sure.
two, and the pools, or the schools being right there, it's drawing a lot of attention. I don't think we have that same thing with Warm Willow Springs, and I am trying to do more shows and try to get more citizens involved that way,
Sure.
so that these groups that are out there um, maybe spread the word that, hey, there is Warm Willow Springs. It is over here. You should go
Sure.
check it out.
Sure.
What do you tell people to go? And it's, we've taken a hit with Ian there too, but we've made some
Yeah.
adjustments, right?
We
We,
have, yeah. So let me give you a little bit of the background, and then maybe I'll speak a bit to that what you were just chatting about. So we that facility has been owned by the city, and it was just recently we owned it, but it was operated by a vending concessionaire. So after the storm, and upon realizing the length of the closure that would be needed in order to get it to meet the state requirements that are necessary for reopening, um, that contract commission made the decision to terminate that contract while we explore this other potential P3, but then also moved it over to Parks and Recreation to get it fixed up, take the lead on getting it, operating it in the interim. And so that is falling under our aquatics division, who have been operating the aquatic center. So right off the bat, I'd say if I can't speak highly enough of that team and their professionalism, and they're going to look for ways to make things the best they can be at the highest level of safety. So I think it's in good hands there, and that's the right call. In order to get it fixed up and reopen, I know that was a challenge, right? Because for a lot of people, the springs they believe it is for their health,
sure.
and it is what they rely upon. And so we knew how passionate that group was and how difficult it was for them to see it closed, and to maybe not necessarily understand why it needed to be closed, because they don't care about the restrooms or the accessibility of the sidewalks or the electrical. They just want to get in the water. And I get it. They just want access to the water. And so there was
their
some
goal
hurdles.
is their goal.
Yes, I get it. We got it. And boy, do we love how passionate they are, because we set records not just at the aquatic center, but at the springs last year, John. We had 150,000 people come to the springs to visit the springs, which is, if I can't think of anything else in Northport that is driving that kind of tourism. Like you said, we don't have beaches, we're landlocked. It really is our natural attractions that we have to offer. We have Cool Day Park, we have the springs, we have some beautiful parks like the environmental park. That is what draws tourism here to Northport and tourism dollars. So I would say that. So just so people know or are aware, we had to put in ADA accessible sidewalks. We had to source portable trailers, because when you put staff on site, they need to have a safe place to operate out of and to take tickets. We had to have restrooms, because you cannot open without restrooms or running water. We had to fix the pump house and the plumbing there, because that all got broken during the storm. And so we could have potable water on the site. We had to clear all the vegetative debris out of there, and there was quite a bit, especially along the outflow in the canals. We had to work with Sarasota County sheriffs to do some dives to make sure that nothing got blown into the springs themselves. They're 250 feet deep, but we still don't want someone swimming in there. We had flooding in there. We had a couple feet of flooding. We had a lot of, we lost a lot of trees on that property that got blown into the water. So we had to do a check, make sure what's under the surface. We also had to lock down the buildings and close those because they are just not safe for people to enter with the, we lost the electrical, and with the flooding, we had to make sure that that footpath was secure. And because we could no longer use that footpath, that brought back the need for, okay, where are we putting the trailers? Where's the sidewalk going? We had to hire a contractor to do it and follow all of our very fun purchasing guidelines to do that. Yeah. And then we had to hire staff and train them as to, you need lifeguards, you need people taking the tickets, and you need to set up the systems internally to be able to do that. So the fact that we got that direction in December and we opened in April to do that in 4 months, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
So and we were going full, like, I can't speak enough. And it wasn't just Parks and Recreation. We had Public Works who was working with us. We were working with our NDS team. There was a lot of staff people who were working very hard behind the scenes to make sure that facility could open during a time when, and the supply chain is not necessarily the easiest right now. Yeah, a lot of people lost their homes. So modular buildings are hard to come by. Concrete is at a premium right now. So there are a lot of hoops to jump through. So kudos to the team for reopening. We're glad that hurdle's been cleared, and now we're up and we're running and we have staff there. So now it's time to let's talk more about the springs and what does it mean to Northport, and get the feedback from the community on what they want, not just the springs themselves, but that adjacent 50 acres to be. And so that's why I wanted to challenge a little bit the idea of, like, we don't know how many we really don't know how many Northport residents utilize the park. Our previous company tracked simply, were you a Sarasota County resident or were you not? So this will be similar to our COVID year of, like, we weren't quite sure what the metrics were. Now that we're operating it, we're going to have better numbers and a better idea of who's using the facility. And we're also going to have the feedback from others. So I would encourage people to learn about it. It is a driver. It does attract, 150,000 people to come to Northport to go visit that park. That means they're coming to our restaurants. They're, using our gas stations. Maybe they're stopping and getting groceries. Maybe they're staying at the hotels that we now have available here in the area, or the Airbnbs, or whoever, staying with friends. So there are impacts that park has that may not necessarily, our neighbors might not necessarily go there, but the fact that it would bring business to, their friends' restaurant, is a greater impact at large.
How are we, and I'm going to go back to the original question. I love the overview, though, because I think that people really need to understand that it's just not open and close. There are state guidelines that you had to follow, and all of those had to be checkmarked. They're just not, oh, we'll work on it, we'll get it later. Before you could open.
And it's true. And I will actually say we got the Department of Health blessing to reopen right at the wire. So we made it, but that was pushing it as quickly as we possibly could.
And so I want to go back to how we're going to draw attention to the Wormwell Springs. That, let's just say that 20,000 people moved here in the last couple of years, which is probably under, because it's been crazy here. But there are a lot of people here that didn't know about the pool, let alone Wormwell Springs. And when somebody says Wormwell Springs to somebody, they don't even know where it is, a lot of them. How are we trying to get that word out?
Sure. So we do a couple of things. We actually have an award-winning campaign called Experience Vintage Florida. So now that was running pre-Ian, and it'll be picking up again now that we're on the other side. But we actually do a lot. We have a Google business account. We run Google AdWords. We target the state of Florida. We have landing pages set up on our websites that have the historical information and also the current park information. We work with Visit Sarasota And we have a profile with them, and we go in their visitors guides, and they come and pick up our materials. So at all the welcome centers, our materials about that park are distributed through those locations. We do a lot of people want us to come and chat. We do. They ask us to come and speak about it. So we do a lot of engagement and outreach. We also try to do some regular posts. If you don't follow us on Facebook, please do. It's a great page. At Northport Parks and Rec, we try and put out facts and information. We have some videos that we've put out about the park. We do a lot of media over the last few years. We've had a huge increase in earned media. And by earned media, I mean, we basically go and pitch a story, right? So just last week, we were there twice doing travel pieces about Warm Mineral Springs Park. So we've actually, over the last few years, have gotten millions and millions of impressions based on just that earned media reach and our media partners, who are really the ones who can help us reach people that, aren't going to look on Facebook and aren't going to go to the City of Northport website going, gosh, tell me about this park. Yeah. So, that helps us increase our bandwidth there as well. And our Northport Forward group has been helpful as we develop these FAQ sheets and invite people to participate in these things. We can put out all the information in the world that we want, and we have. It's out there. I promise you. It's on websites and landing pages. And if you want to do a deep dive, you certainly can. It's northportfl.gov/Warm Mineral Springs Park. But sometimes people also have to be interested enough to look up some things and find that information. So I would challenge newbies to come to our newcomer day. It's May 6th, which is the day that all things are happening in Northport. I think there's like 20 events that day. It's crazy. Yeah. But come to newcomer day. It's free. It's from 10 to noon. You're going to get to meet all the city departments. You get some little tchotchkes and some swag. You get to hang out with us and learn about the parks and what are some city things going on. And go and check out the park. We just changed the admission prices to $8 for a Sarasota County resident. So it's $8. Kids under 5 are free. Stop out and check it out and, see what it's all about.
And it is a clean environment. You check mark the safe environment. You've got the sidewalks down pat. All the things that you needed to have done to open the park according to the state guidelines. And really, I think you said it best. The citizens need to get educated on where they live. They need to get educated on what that could be, whether it's going to be just a park or whether it's going to be a P3 and develop into something. And it's their opportunity to get involved and have a say.
It is.
The beautiful thing about I think what we're trying to do as a community, whether it be through Parks and Rec or through our commissioners, city manager, city staff, is that everybody's listening, everybody's paying attention, and they're not trying to not hear. They're trying to develop a plan that really kind of makes everybody happy at the same time. Boy, is that going to be tough.
That is. That's why I smiled.
Which is hard to do.
I was like, you're a dad. You know how that goes, John.
Yeah. I get it 100%. I'm still trying to make me happy.
Yep. But there's probably some middle ground, and there's information we need to hear from, right? Because one way or another, it's going to cost money, and one way or another, those buildings in that park, something needs to happen to update it or make it better or make it what it should be. And our visitors deserve that. Our residents deserve that. And I think we're very open to hearing what that feedback is. And I want to make it very clear that this is early days yet in the process. So we're at the feedback stage. We've accepted, we're in that negotiation phase where we're going to take the feedback from the survey and we're going to take it forward as the negotiations team meets with this, the potential developer to talk about, okay, well, you're saying you want this and this, but our residents are saying this. And so where can we find those things that we can come to an agreement on, or that maybe the plan can be tweaked? And we have studies we need to do yet to make sure that the impacts of whatever is proposed is going to be feasible. So it's going to be a long road, but feedback is essential, and we really do need to hear from everyone.
And one of the things I talked about on the show with the group When you have 5 and 6 people on a show at the same time, it was interesting to see that dynamic play out, but it actually went a lot smoother than I anticipated.
You didn't have to buzzer anyone.
I had to mute a couple people, but it was only for seconds, and I got them right back on the air. And it was the fact that I gave them all an allotment amount of time, and I was giving they were given the opportunity to finish their answer. All right, and everybody had good ideas, good plans, good thoughts through that whole process. And one of the things I like to do is check mark a thing off. And you could take Warm Mill Springs, the park as a whole, just the park and the swimming area itself, and nobody wants to mess with that. Everybody wants to make it really a really unique place. I think you said it best. I think one of the hardest things to come up with is how we're going to pay for it, and what's going to cost taxpayers the less amount of money. Because if you put this out there to everybody based on raising their taxes, everybody be up in arms with the result, because nobody wants higher taxes. That would be negative. And I don't think it has to go there. I think there's some good sweet spots in there that hopefully everybody will pay attention to. But
I think there's some middle ground, and I would encourage anyone, no matter what side, at the end of the day. And I actually had this conversation with a patron who was at the Springs, where I was like, at the end of the day, no matter what your opinion is on the process, we all just want the Springs to be taken care of. We want our visitors to have a nice experience. Nobody's access is going to be revoked or taken away. It is a public park. We still want it to be that way. We want it to be preserved for generations to come. So if we all come with those good intentions of nobody wants to hurt this place, we just want to make it better and make it what it could be, then the rest is all negotiable, right? We can find a middle.
That was I remember something that Peter Bartolotta said, that whoever is the P3, if that is the option that gets the nod, that P3 is not going to want to damage it either, because that's why they're doing all of this. That's why they're gonna work together with the city. And I think we're looking at this kind of like no matter what happens, it's going to hurt it. Nothing is being.
Well, that's why those studies are
perception has
important.
to shift.
Those two things have to play hand in hand, and it was kind of a fun thing. We had Chuck English was on, and he had good insight on what he wants there. And the beauty is I think Warm Mill Springs is going to be nice when it's completed. It's nice now. Go out, check it out, give your viewpoint on what you want to see there. I don't call this critical time, but it is critical time, because when it comes right down to it, if you don't get involved now, it may be too late to get your word in. It may be too late to see what it was now compared to where it's going later, or what it's going to be. And you could have had a pivotal part in sculpting that whole idea. And for a city to step up and say, get involved and help us sculpt an idea. We don't have very many cities in our country anymore that do that, because they're all built out. It's really tough in that regard. It's just sliver here, sliver there. So this is kind of a really unique opportunity with a unique piece of property that, truthfully, there's only a couple of them in the United States. So I keep using the word unique for a reason. It is.
We are unique. So
it is our beachfront.
Let me give the URL for your listeners, anyone listening at home or watching. It's WMSP survey. So northportfl.gov/WMSP survey. So if you go there to that website, you can take the survey, you can read more about it, and there's links to learn more about that, the park, and you can sign up for email notifications to be updated as this process continues.
Yep, and like John said, it's basically a clean slate right now.
It is.
an open canvas. And so we are definitely asking for help, and there's a lot of potential there. So
there is, and the fact that we've got our hands wrapped around it now. I think those buildings were open prior to Ian, correct?
They were, yeah. We actually, so we had one that closed, the restroom facility. Now, it used to have a cafe and things, so part of the plan involves items that were already on that campus historically. So it used to have a restaurant, there used to be a cafe, and some more of those types of options. That building that had the locker rooms and the such, after Hurricane Elsa or Tropical Storm Elsa, that structure was actually damaged enough that it was closed. And then Ian took out the admissions building and the gift shop. So, yeah. So the last couple years, the last couple storm seasons have not been nice to those buildings.
And they don't need much help right now.
Yeah, and granted, to be quite honest with you, they weren't in the best of the shape, as you said, before the storms. I mean, they were constructed in 1959 using 1959 standards. So,
and we all hate to see the older buildings go, but beauty does re-erect itself. We've seen that in Port Charlotte. We've seen that in Punta Gorda.
Yep. And these are on the National Register of Historic Places. So there is some opportunity there to, yeah.
And I know that we've got some great grant writers, and we're trying our hardest to get funding just about anywhere we can get funding. We've talked about our grant writers multiple times on this show, and they do a phenomenal job. So if there's money to be had out there, I'm sure that they'll find it.
They are a good group, so they're working.
We've got about 3 minutes left.
Look how quick that always goes.
It always goes quick.
I was telling Kristen, it goes very fast.
Yeah. How fast did it go for you, Kristen?
Pretty quickly. I believe mostly in part because the conversation flowed pretty well. And you had some great questions, and of course, the shining star here should answer all of them.
So you have
we'll take it back to
a month to get ready. You got 1 month to get ready. And I'll have a firestorm of questions for you. No, I won't.
I'm sure it will.
It'll be just
I'm not afraid to say I don't know the answer if I don't know the answer.
And that's okay. And the luxury of doing the show the way we do it, you have your computer, so you can always look some stuff up if you need to.
That is true.
I'll tell you, just like I tell Laura, if you've got any PDFs that you want to send over for the show, send them over. I can put them up on the screen. If you have any events that you need announced, get the PDFs over to the radio station so we can get them on the air. We're looking at the city all we can at the radio station, and the other side.
You guys do great. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
So
I appreciate it.
Concert in the Park is Friday, so come to Concert in the Park. We have the Click Band, so that's gonna be fun. And Newcomer Day is Saturday at the George Mullen Activity Center. So do those things.
And what about the app?
The app. Oh, Playbook. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that too. But go ahead with that.
If you're interested in our upcoming events that I have not, or Kristen has not had the chance to talk about tonight, we have a ton coming up. We have Northport's Got Talent. We have some junior lifeguard camps. So if you go to northportfl.gov/playbook, that is our guide to all things Parks and Rec, events, programs, activities. Check it out. It's well worth the read. And we also have the North Report app. So if you see something in your community, if you see something at one of our parks and you're like, oh my gosh, that bench is broken, this fence is down, there's some graffiti, you can download the North Report app from any store, and you just take a picture and submit it. And that is the easiest way for us to kind of see what's going on in the parks. We get out there, we correct it pretty quickly, and we actually have benchmarks based around how quickly we answer those. So there you go.
This is John Rawlings with WKDW Real Talk Radio. Thanks to Laura and Kristen. Kristen, I'll see you next month. And Laura, congratulations on your job. You guys have a great day.
Thank you, John.
All right. Bye-bye now. Be safe. Bye-bye.